Hi there, we are back. Thank you, Nick, for pressing record.
Welcome back to Breakfast All Day.
We're still breakfast all day.
Yes.
It's getting closer to noon, but we're still having breakfast.
Because it's all day. I'm Alonso, that's Christy.
Hi.
For those of you just joining us on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, you get to hear us introduce ourselves over and over again.
We're super interesting.
Enjoy that. And to those of you on YouTube, I do have a mouth. You just can't see it because I'm talking into a microphone.
So we have a little bit of movie news to talk about, a bit of a follow-up to something we discussed a few weeks back, and that involves Kevin Hart maybe hosting the Oscars or not hosting the Oscars. To take you back a little bit, he was asked to host the Oscars, and that seemed like kind of a fun choice. You know, he's got a lot of energy. He could maybe breathe life into this kind of traditional and sometimes painfully stuffy and overlong ceremony.
And his movies make money, and so that's
Right.
certainly a boost for that.
He helps diversify, and that's one of the goals certainly
Sure,
of the
of course.
Academy these days. And then several, tweets of his?
Tweets, yeah.
That were homophobic
From years past.
resurfaced.
Yes, and rather than sort of address them and say, you know, look, this is not who I am anymore, he immediately took the defensive and was all like, why are we bringing this up again? I already apologized for this, which he hadn't really. And once an ultimatum was delivered from the Academy that he really needed to apologize for this, then he decided that his presence would be a distraction, and so now he didn't want to do it anymore. And then in the weeks since then, they haven't found anybody else who wanted to do the gig. And now suddenly Ellen DeGeneres has placed herself in the middle of this as a former Oscar host and as a member of the LGBT community, and is saying that no, Kevin should host the Oscars after all. To which I say bullshit. Kevin Hart, may not be the person who tweeted, as he did 10 years ago, that if his son acted gay, he would smash a dollhouse on his head. But he never really sufficiently, appropriately apologized for the nature of this joke, in quotes. And 3 years ago, he made Get Hard, which is a thoroughly homophobic movie. And, yes, do I believe that he's capable of changing? Absolutely. Do I think that he has done so to an extent that this is a non-issue and we shouldn't talk about it anymore? No, it's still an issue. And I think if he winds up hosting the Oscars, it's still going to be an issue and it's still going to be talked about. And if he thinks it's going to magically go away because his friend Ellen stepped forward on his behalf, I think he's got another thing coming. Yeah,
he said in this interview with Ellen DeGeneres, which I guess is coming out soon, Ellen herself has posted it on Twitter, so it's out there for you to see, that he said he didn't want to be a distraction, and it had become distraction. It was a dream of his, and he didn't want to harm this thing that he loved. So Ellen has posted this. She is, beseeching the Academy to rethink Kevin Hart's hosting possibilities. And she posted on Twitter an hour ago, however you feel about this, the only positive way through it is to talk about it. Thank you for being here at Kevin Hart for real with a little heart emoji. So, and it's understandably divisive. Like, just because she steps in and she's very powerful and very influential and very beloved by a wide cross section of people.
Yeah.
Does that all of a sudden absolve things? No.
She is not the spokesperson for all queer people everywhere.
No, yeah. Well, so then Mark Harris also tweets about this. He says, "This is wrong. To a certain type of celebrity, the internet is a mob. Critics are haters, and those who think someone with a long history of homophobic statements shouldn't host the Oscars are standing in the way of a dream." Yeah, so.
Yeah, and as Louis Vertel said, if you're really somebody who used to be homophobic and isn't anymore, then you should be comfortable with apologizing over and over and over again for the person that you used to be, rather than getting mad at people for not accepting your previous weak tea, I'm sorry if you were offended apologies, which is what he's doing. And there's just such a sense of entitlement and how dare you with this. It's like, no, dude, you have to actually address this really awful shit you said. And a lot of it does not even fall into the rubric of it was a joke. We're not talking about, we're censoring comedians. No, he talked about committing homophobic violence against a child, which guess what? A lot of parents actually do. Look it up. There's a lot of horrible deaths and injuries of children because they acted gay or whatever. This is a real thing, and it's not something for, just because it's getting in the way of Kevin Hart's career ambitions, we still need to talk about it.
Yeah, K. Austin Collins, who's a film critic for Vanity Fair, I want to say, right? Vanity Fair, yeah. He tweets, "Ellen doesn't represent this country. Holland Taylor does. We redistricted. You appealed to the wrong lesbian, my man." So it's divisive in real ways and in jokey ways. So at the time, a couple weeks ago when Kevin Hart apologized, when he stepped down, we talked about it here, and I said, like, if it had been, a legitimate, heartfelt apology, that would have gone a long way, but there were all these caveats to it. What has to happen now? Like, what can he do or say now, or nothing, or do we just walk away with Kevin Hart and find somebody else entirely?
I don't know. When he did step down, he gave much closer to a legit apology than he had previously. But now he is back to where he started, which is like, how dare you, man, my growth, I don't know what the answer is here, and I don't presume to speak for everyone to say like what should happen, but I think that Ellen is being disingenuous by thinking that somehow having this conversation absolves him from the larger conversation, and that now his presence at the Oscars wouldn't be a distraction. I want people who fuck up in public and grow and learn things to do the work of actually, walking the walk instead of just talking the talk. Do legitimate things that benefit queer people, and use your platform and your fame and your spotlight to benefit people who need it, instead of lamenting the fact that somehow, because people are being vocal about this stuff now, you're being denied an opportunity.
Right. He's incredibly powerful and incredibly wealthy, and he could hire or tell more stories that are more diverse in terms of identity.
Here's the thing that so many of these like powerful men who get in trouble don't ever seem to want to do is shut up and listen. Mm-hmm. Shut up and actually take some of these things to heart, if you'll pardon the expression, and acknowledge that maybe the people who are upset at you have a point and aren't just haters. That maybe you did say something that was genuinely problematic, and that you need to evolve as a person and figure out what that is, rather than immediately go on the defensive and decide that you're being wronged by the world and boo-hoo. That's my thing.
Let me do one more tweet. This is from Travell Anderson.
Yes, please.
As a black queer someone who, when my body began to manifest aspects of my identity even I was unaware of, was punched in the chest by black men in my family and told to quote unquote man up, Ellen can't and doesn't speak for me. So
yeah. Listen to Travell. Always listen to Travell. He knows what he's talking about.
Anyway, so we will
they
continue
know what they're talking about.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow this. We will, because it's not going anywhere. Oscar nominations are coming out, in a couple of weeks. The Golden Globes are this weekend. Oscar nominations are coming out soon. This is not going anywhere. So
no, and
we've got to find a host. It's coming soon.
Well, or have multiple hosts or whatever. I just the Oscars. There's a lot going on this year. I'm still mad that they've taken so many of the smaller categories and are sort of shunting them to the commercials or whatever. It's I'm still mad that they give so little time to the governor's dinner in the fall, where they honor people like Cicely Tyson and the people who get like the Life Achievement Awards. So we're learning and we're restructuring and figuring out what's going on, and hopefully they are too. But Kevin Hart, seriously, sit down, listen, have some meetings with people, figure out what you did wrong and how you can fix it. It's not my job to tell you that, but this immediate stance of defensiveness and how dare you deprive me of this, I just find unpalatable.
The Oscars are on February 24th.
All right.
They're coming soon. Anyway, so we will keep up with this because it's interesting. I know you don't really like talking about awards a lot, but this is interesting in a lot of ways.
No, it's in the culture for sure. All right, hey, so listen, everybody, this is our new thing. This is where we are. So follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BeFastAllDay. You can drop us a line to BeFastAllDayPod@gmail.com, and we'll be back next week with more reviews, and hopefully Matt and Ben, who knows, but we'll figure it out.
Next week is The Upside, which is a remake of a French kind of feel-good buddy comedy, and A Dog's Way Home, about doggies who are lost, so I'm getting ready to cry now. Thank you so much for sticking with us at Breakfast All Day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.